Hi. Oh, welcome to the Brenda B Show. Today we have a special guest artist, Bill Hilt. And I am going to get off camera today and I'm going to let you look at Bill. All right. So I'm going to be asking him the questions. And remember, my technical guy isn't here. Hey, Bill, introduce yourself to our audience.
Hi, I'm Bill Hilt, and I've been playing a long time. I'm old enough to be all of your ancestors. I have been from a musical background all my life. My uncle, may he rest in peace, Don Basham, used to play on a show called Dialing for Dollars, and he was the organ player. And that was back when there were 3 networks.
Yeah, 3, 6, and 10?
Yeah, or whatever it was in your city, right?
Yeah.
NBC, CBS, ABC.
Yeah.
And Dialing for Dollars was on from like 8 in the morning till noon.
Really?
5 days a week, right?
So everybody saw his face?
Don was quite a character. He would play bass pedals with his feet, and he would play chords of a B3 organ with his left hand while he blew a trumpet with his right hand. And I thought that was pretty cool. And plus, he was a good-looking guy, and about 10 minutes out of every hour, he would get these call-ins from women trying to romance him over the phone. And I thought that was pretty cool. He was like my hero, so I wanted to be just like him. So on weekends, he would go to like nursing homes and assisted living facilities, and he would perform for them. And he was a jazzer, and so I'm like 9, 10 years old doing like When Sunny Gets Blue, Here's That Rainy Day, which is not normal fare for a kid my age. And anyway, so, and plus with him doing 3 things at once, 3 lines of time, I thought everybody just did that. So I ended up getting some attention from the superintendent of our school system, who hooked me up with this, probably one of the biggest foundation of the arts in the United States. And this was back when CAT scans was in its infancy, you know.
Oh, wow.
And so when there's a new technology, people are scrambling for grant money, you know, because it's prestige in their field. And you know, and a guy from a local university had gotten a grant to use a PET scan that they just brought into this local hospital near the university. And they basically, I ended up, they wanted to scan my brain. They were doing a thing. What is the difference between what they would consider like a musical prodigy and a guy who does your taxes and delivers your mail and listens to the radio? And so they brought 20 of us in so they could have a control group. And ended up, I got an education from a composer named Bela Zalagi, who was the last living student of Marie-Claire Dulac from Paris, who had a lot to do with the careers of Pierre Boulez, who's the guy that did Snowflakes and Dance.
I can't help you with that.
Yeah,
but
a bunch
some
of. She was considered one of the premier musical minds of the 20th century. So I had a good pedigree, and which enabled me to get a lot of work over the years. And I ended up on the road for 15 years, 300 days a year.
We were talking about that. That's no fun, is it?
Yeah, but you know, you kind of get used to it. But really, it's like this soup that you're in. This day and night kind of mixes together, and of course, you know, it depends on who you're playing with too. I was like the only guy. I was played with Enrique Infante, who was a Latin artist who was great, and I was the only only guy in a Latin band that didn't speak Spanish. I was in a reggae band that was the only white guy in the zip code, but and the only guy that wasn't real hip on the patois, you know, leader altin guys, you know. And then I was for a couple. I did a lot of R&B with, you know, some iconic platinum superstars. Nobody ever paid a dime to see me. You know, I was a cog in a wheel with platinum hubcaps. You know, and so, but I had my midlife crisis. You know, about the right time that most middle-aged guys had their midlife crisis, and wanted to get off the road when I hit 40.
Oh, well, that was a smart move.
Yeah, and wanted to have a house with a door I could lock, and had to have a wife and a kid, and by God, I did it. Well,
thank God, you would have gray hair like me if you stayed out on the road. You'd have to use a lot of hair color.
Yeah. I lucked out in that respect. But anyway, I have turned my attention. I still play, and I still freelance, and I enjoy playing. I love to play, and but I've turned my attention to teaching because the education I had was so superior to what they're getting now. It's they're teaching music like people teach macrame or quilting, or it's like you do this. You know, for example, you know, they teach guitar players that, you know, the first thing a guitar player will learn is, you know, this pentatonic, minor pentatonic. But they don't teach him, those are the notes, you know. But if you can do that, you can also do, you know, there are notes in the middle of the ones that they teach you, you know. And then they have these books like 5,000 Chords for Guitar, with these little drawings, with little computer drawings with little dots, and she knows what I'm talking about. And it's ridiculous. And even worse, the most hostile I've ever been, and the most hostile letters I've ever written, especially get a little bit buzzed, I can get real hostile. And that is to these guys on Facebook. And if you know what I'm talking about, the guys that'll say, forget about music theory, because all you need to know is just this pattern, this guitar pattern that all the pros use, but they're not talking. But I can teach it to you. It's like, yeah, one pattern, and you can play anything, you know. And it's sad. And I just want to say out there, if you are wanting to play music, if you want to get into music, the number one most important thing that you can do is learn your damn scales. Be able to recite your 13 major, there's only 12 notes in music, but there are 13 major scales. And it's because F sharp and G flat are the same note, but they use sharps for F sharp and flats for G flat. But the bottom line is, if you see H2O, you know that there are 2 atoms of hydrogen, an atom of oxygen, and that's the molecule. If you see B7 chord, that doesn't mean put your fingers here and put your fingers here. What it means is that it's the root, 3rd, 5th, and flat 7th of a B major scale. But if you don't know what a B major scale is, you're out of luck. You're aiming in the dark. And if you want to have a career in music, if you want to be able to do the things that I was fortunate enough to be able to do, then you have to know what you're doing. And the thing is, you have to have something standard to judge what you're listening to. If you can identify in musical terms what you're hearing or thinking, chances are you'll be able to have a better chance of playing it than if you don't. And how are you going to be able to, what are you going to be able to use to, as a marker, as to a constant that you can measure the distances between notes and times and everything? Scales. That's it.
I think your students are really going to be well learned. Is that the right terminology?
Well, yeah. I've had students that have been accepted into Peabody, Berkeley, U.S. Virgin Islands, University of U.S. Virgin Islands, and these people send me coffee cups and and all kinds of swag because they love students that are prepared to be creators. And you can play Flight of the Bumblebee with your left hand and Saber Dance with your right hand, but if you don't know how to play song Y, if you don't understand what you're listening to, you're kind of going to be at the ceiling of your ability. So know your scales. Know what notes of a scale make a chord. Know what chords of a scale create. Music is 12 notes woven into a seamless fabric of interconnectivity in which you can identify anything that you think or hear in musical terms. If you can do that, you will have the musical world at your fingertips.
Well, that was great. What did we say? We come back, and will you actually? I know you've written some of your own material. Would you? Well, we'll come back and write today, and we'll play for some songs. We'll separate it, or would you like to just keep going?
It's up to you.
I lose everybody after 15 minutes.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. All right.
All right. All right, guys. All right. We will. Where are you? Hi. We'll be back with Bill Hilt.